must now ensure regular consultations between the party and the governments.
Buhari inaugurates tripartite APC consultative committee, vows to improve service delivery to Nigerians. Play your roles well to ensure credible elections, IGP tells CSOs as he pledges police neutrality in Edo and Ondo governorship polls. Plus, Supreme Court upholds election of Governor Yahaya Bello of Kogi State. Good evening and welcome to NTA Network News. My name is Kenan Ima Abodike. Also reading with me tonight is Adeola Komi Akere in Lagos, while Dibabari Siedoma Nweke is in Port Harcourt. A tripartite executive, legislative and leadership of the APC Consultative Committee has been inaugurated in a deliberate attempt at enhancing democracy and good governance in the country. President Muhammadu Buhari, who performed the ceremony, promised to lead and find solutions as he places great faith in the committee towards improving service delivery to Nigerians. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the details.
Tripartite Consultative Committee is aimed at creating the desired synergy amongst the executive, legislature and the governing party towards delivering effectively the administration's core promises of securing the country, enhancing the economy and fighting corruption for sustainable national growth and development.
The Tripartite Consultative Committee will build a greater collaboration to deliver on the promises, position our party, which has been rejuvenated, enhance legislative processes, and enable government perform better.
Inaugurating the committee, President Muhammadu Buhari said with the governing APC commanding a clear majority in both the Senate and House of Representatives, taking Nigeria to the next level is a task that must be done. This, he however said, can only be achieved through effective coordination, collaboration, cooperation and communication between the leadership of the various arms of government and the governing party.
We must admit to ourselves that our party has been too often embroiled in bitter and on occasions totally unnecessary squabbles, costing us seats in legislative and gubernatorial elections. These never should have happened. We are here to make sure such occurrences do not happen again. We must now ensure regular consultations between the party and the governments.
Expressing firm belief in the doctrine of separation of powers, which he described as fundamental to the nation's constitutional democracy, the president, however, said the practice should be a harmonious checks and balances, devoid of petty rivalry.
As one government, we must further align ourselves and be alive to our electoral promises. We need to nurture our party, which is the platform that will take us and our country forward. I am placing great faith in this consultative committee to help improve our governance and achievements to the people of Nigeria. Your success will directly enhance the success of this administration and greatly improve the conditions of our people.
Senate President Ahmed Lawan, Speaker Femi Bajabiamila, and the Chairman, APC Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, Governor Maimala Buni of Yobe State, were unanimous that with the Tripartite Consultative Committee, Nigeria and Nigerians will witness much difference in governance and service delivery.
It is incumbent upon us, as an administration and as a party, to ensure that we meet the expectations and aspirations of Nigerians. This is not in any way to compromise the independence of the legislature. If anything, is to strengthen the legislature.
What this is about is that we don't allow the approach of 2023 to affect governance. And how do you not allow 2023 to affect your policies? By bringing your men together. That's what a responsible party will do, and that's exactly what Mr. President has done today.
The party is very happy with this development, with this tripartite arrangement to deliver on our promises. It is in the best interest of Nigerians and the party.
The tripartite consultative committee, first of its kind under the Buhari presidency, is chaired by Vice President Yemi Oshibanjo. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has granted audience to the General Overseer, Redeemed Christian Church of God, Pastor Enoch Adeboye. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu reports that their discussions held behind closed doors lasted about 1 hour. At the meeting were Vice President Yemi Oshibanjo and Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, but details were not made public. Pastor Enoch Adeboye, 78 years old, heads the Redeemed Christian Church of God for nearly 40 years, during which it has grown phenomenally. President Muhammadu Buhari formally played host to the clergyman for the first time in February 2016. Pastor Adeboye also met the Nigerian leader in August 2017 in London, the British capital. The Redeemed Christian Church of God is a Pentecostal mega church and denomination founded in Lagos, Nigeria, with millions of followers. Now, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has expressed confidence in the ingenuity of Nigerian engineers to fast-track the nation's development strides. The minister stated this in Lagos when he visited the Department for Petroleum Resources. Anthony Forson reports.
Culture Minister Lai Mohammed arrived at the corporate headquarters of the Department Petroleum Resources and was received by the Director and Chief Executive Officer, Serki Awolu. The director gave the minister detailed rundown on activities of the department, its mandate, and its role in the nation's oil and gas sector. And to discharge this mandate, the department has a robust operating system, one of which is this state-of-the-art facility with which the director explained to the minister has assisted in checking illegal dealings in the oil and gas industry. For instance, he said, this system is a tracker which provides real-time information about Nigeria's oil and gas dealings. From this control room, DPR monitors vessels coming into the country and when they leave Nigeria.
Every production, you can see it as the volume of tank receiving the crude oil. You see it here. You can be able to narrow down on it and see exactly what is happening there.
Before the inspection, the director had told the minister what the directorate is working on for the sector, the economy, and Nigerians.
We want to create price freedom. I don't want to call it deregulation. If you go to any country, you see that any filling station, there are 3 kinds of fuel with different prices. But in Nigeria, it's one fixed price. So we are pushing for price freedom so that you have a choice.
For Lai Mohammed, Nigeria is on the right path under the present administration.
That we have in Nigeria dedicated men and women who are keeping sleepless nights to ensure that this country continues to survive. That while we are writing what we want to write, there are some people who are risking their lives to ensure that this ship of state does not capsize. And I want to thank the DPR for doing so much for this country. I know that's even the issue of how do we ensure that not only do we increase our reserves, but in doing so, it's also sustainable.
The Department for Petroleum Resources remains the advisory organ to government and other relevant agencies in the oil and gas sector. In Lagos, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
International agencies and the federal government have come up with a spotlight initiative to end rape and other forms of gender-based violence in Nigeria. Ngozi Sylvia Technique reports that the initiative focuses on tackling the root causes of these social vices.
It's no longer time to treat symptoms, but the causes. This seems to be the best approach in ending cases of rape and gender-based violence, and the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs, the United Nations, are in the driver's seat. Solutions to ending rape and bringing sexual predators to justice encapsulated in a special intervention program tagged Spotlight Initiative.
The initiative is also innovative in that it seeks to catalyze a profound shift in the gender-based violence landscape with a vision for transformative change.
If you look at the overall impact of the COVID pandemic on women, it's much more on women. One, because most of the health workers, over 70% are women.
It is not a one-man show, but an interagency project, and everyone seems prepared.
It is very, very important that accountability is brought to bear for violations of these rights.
The ministry has lined up a series of collaborative activities, which among others are aimed at addressing the administrative and policy gaps and providing quality service to survivors and ensuring social justice for victims.
With this strong team, the assurance is that the rising tide of such antisocial vices can be stemmed effortlessly. In Abuja, Ngozi Silva Technical, NTA News.
The presidency has reacted to Daily Trust newspaper's Sunday editorial. In a statement, the senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, agrees with the Daily Trust that it is important for those seeking power to set priorities and deliver them while in office, pointing out that the true state of the treasury and the capacity of the supporting infrastructure required to deliver on the elected government's agenda are key to its success. The statement explained that the president's administration has not abandoned its policies in the first tenure, but will continue to review its past, present and future political agenda to set its priorities right in line with good governance. It also explained that investigations into the affairs of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, is a show of commitment towards the fight against corruption and the continuous fleeing by terrorists from their strongholds is also an indication that insurgency has been significantly crushed. He says government also has a robust post-COVID-19 economic recovery plan for the country, while attention is focused on delivering on its priorities in the remaining years in office. President Muhammadu Buhari warmly felicitates with former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Senator Ike Nwachukwu, on his 80th birthday, September 1, 2020, saluting the statesman for distinguished service to the nation. The president notes that the contributions of the celebrants to nation building has been most remarkable, exemplary and commendable, particularly your service as Minister of Employment, Labour and Productivity, twice appointed for Minister of Foreign Affairs, with an exceptional diplomatic profile, military governor and senator in the Fourth Republic. Our nation is indeed proud of you. Happy birthday, the president added. You're watching the NTA Network News. Time for our first break. Do stay. Welcome back. As we go to politics, where a coalition of civil society organizations led by Clement Nwankwo were at the force headquarters to share knowledge and compare notes with regards to the forthcoming Edo and Ondo governorship elections. Francis Foom reports that the meeting was at the instance of the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu.
Governorship election is gathering more cloud as the time ticks. The IGP raises concern on the early warning danger signals, but it is not beyond the strength of the police to control. In ensuring decency in the process, actions must be taken within the confines of the law. So there is need for partnership with civil society organizations who have been playing a critical role in monitoring and ensuring the conduct of free and fair elections in the country.
As we did before, and we want to reiterate that we will do the same thing. We will remain neutral, we will remain professional, we will never allow our officers to side anybody or any group of people. But for us to be able to do that, we need to work with the civil society organization.
We know that a police that is non-partisan, that is involved and is ready to bring everyone to account who violates the law, whatever political party they belong to, would help to entrenched respect for the rules of the political system.
Maintaining the peace in Edo lies in their hands.
The CSOs appeals to the IGP to take the lead in ensuring that the National Assembly passes the Electoral Offences Commission Bill, which most politicians across the divides have shown commitment. In Abuja, Francis Form, NTA News.
The Supreme Court has affirmed the election of Yahaya Bello as governor of Kogi State. The decision followed the dismissal of two separate appeals filed by Musa Wada of PDP and Natasha Aboti of Social Democratic Party SDP challenging the re-election of Yahaya Bello as governor of Kogi State. Judiciary correspondent Vera Chinwoba was at the Supreme Court for NTA News.
Read by Justice Wani Abaji, the Supreme Court held that the cases of the appellants were devoid of merit as they failed to prove allegations made in their separate petitions. On the issue of exclusion, Justice Abaji noted that the appellants blew hot and cold and at the same time when they in one breath said the logo of the SDP was not on the result sheet, while in another they claimed it was written on longhand. The Social Democratic Party and its governorship candidate Natasha Aboti, in addition to claims of electoral irregularities that allegedly marred the election, sought for the disqualification of Bello and his party, the APC, on grounds of alleged forgery and falsehood by the Deputy Governor, Mr. Edward Onoja. However, the Apex Court, in its judgment, held that there was no reason to interfere with the judgments of the Court of Appeal and the tribunal. The court held that the appellant did not provide particulars of the alleged claim of forgery against the deputy governor. It further held that there was no evidence of rigging or evidence that the respondents connived among themselves to rig the election. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, had declared Bello winner of the November 16 governorship election, having scored majority of votes cast in the election. However, citing substantial non-compliance and other electoral malpractices, 4 contestants approached the Kogi Governorship Election Petition Tribunal to nullify the election. These judgments bring to an end all illegal issues surrounding the conduct of governorship election in Kogi State. In Abuja, Vera Chinwoba, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the All Progressives Congress, APC, has congratulated the governor of Kogi State on his unanimous affirmation by the Supreme Court as the winner of the Kogi governorship election held in November 2019. The APC, in a statement, commended the Supreme Court for defending the votes and mandate the people of Kogi State overwhelmingly gave Governor Yahaya Bello to lead them for another 4 years. This victory, the statement added, will definitely enable Governor Bello to focus on his administration's commendable efforts to ensure peace and guarantee security for the people of the state. In a related development, the People's Democratic Party has expressed shock over the judgment of the Supreme Court on the 2019 Kogi State governorship election. The party says although it accepts the verdict of the Supreme Court as the apex court in the land, the judgment fell short of the expectation of the party. It, however, adds that as a law-abiding party, the people of Kogi State and Nigerians at large should remain calm and undeterred in their quest for the entrenchment of credible electoral process in the country. In the meantime, the Northern Governors Forum, in its congratulatory message to Governor Yahaya Bello, pledges the support of the 19 governors of the North and asks him to join in the task of finding solutions to the challenges of the region. 17 cases are scheduled for hearing and judgment at the Medical and Dental Practitioners Disciplinary Tribunal sitting in Abuja. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports that the trial of offences which are under the Medical and Dental Practitioners Act of 2004 as amended are all related to professional misconducts.
Hearing, the tribunal stepped aside judgment in the case between Chairman of Medical and Dental Practitioners Investigative Panel and Dr. Ioha Joseph, Obafemi Kuye, and Oladipo Ayewumi to Wednesday, 2nd September 2020 to avail the tribunal more documentary evidences. The adoption of addresses for 3 different cases are also to be entertained by the tribunal, and tentative date for judgment will be communicated to counsels of affected parties. 10 accused persons are also to be arraigned for defense and cross-examinations.
This is the 5th session of the Medical and Dental Council Tribunal.
So far, so good. We are satisfied with the proceedings.
We have adopted our final written addresses. There is a judgment that is pending it to be given, and the new cases that are coming up, we have taken first arraignment. We will take the rest, and hopefully before the end of this session we'll be able to dispense with so many cases by God's grace.
The tribunal has one quarter to conclude hearings and deliver judgment in all the petitions connected to gross professional misconduct in line with Medical and Dental Practitioners Act, CAP M8, laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
And to health matters now, the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 has expressed concern over what is called the alarming reduction of sample collection and testing for COVID-19 in the state, which account for the low number of confirmed cases in recent times. Chairman of the task force, Boss Mustafa, says there is more work to be done at the sub-national levels. Betira Yiben reports.
Finding cases of Nigeria's confirmed COVID-19 cases lately triggered enthusiasm among Nigerians about flattening the curve in the country. But the PTF does not share the enthusiasm, citing complacency in sample collection and testing in the states as the weakest link so far in the national response.
In spite of our enhanced testing capacity, the number of samples collected for testing have not been very encouraging. We still urge the states to expand the scope of their sample collection.
One state, for example, tested over 35,000 in July and less than 20,000 in August, while another dropped from 23,000 in July to about 4,000 in August.
Actually, no local government is collecting sample in Kogi State. So I think we can appreciate what is happening in the state and why we're having very low sample collection for the month of August.
State governments are urged to take a cue from Plateau State on contact tracing, case detection, and testing.
My plea to the states is please test. It's the fastest way we can get on top of this problem. If you test widely and you don't find a case, then great. We can open up and we can get back to normal fairly quickly.
The Minister of State for Education gave an update on some students who initially tested positive for COVID-19.
Roughly about 10, 20 of them. But we've confirmed that all of them are back in class. They have now been tested negative. All of them are discharged. We do not have any further cases. There were 4 in Gombe, there was 1 in Kwara, there was a few in Bayelsa. As to whether we're reopening schools at all, that discussion is ongoing. We've received the feedback from all our universities. They've responded as to their state of preparedness, and that is being tabled at the PTF, and we've agreed on a framework that will decide how they come back to schools.
In the words of the chairman of the task force, Boss Mustafa, this is not the time for government at any level or even citizens to succumb to fatigue in the fight against COVID-19, as the virus itself is not fatigued in penetrating the populace. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
A World Health Organization survey shows more than 90% of countries have seen essential health services disrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Uche Ugochukwu brings us update on the global coronavirus pandemic.
Johns Hopkins University Coronavirus Resource Center at 6 p.m. local time puts the number of cases globally at 25,456,564, with 851,894 fatalities. A World Health Organization survey showed more than 90% of countries have seen essential health services disrupted by the coronavirus pandemic. It raised concern that the major health gains achieved over the past 2 decades could be destroyed in a short period of time. 41,513 cases of COVID-19 have been treated and discharged in Nigeria. The 138 new cases confirmed by the country's Center for Disease Control bring the total confirmed cases to 53,865. 1,013 patients have died. Meanwhile, data from the Africa Center for Disease Control indicates the continent has 1,251,274 infections. Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo says the country's international airport will reopen on Tuesday after being shut down since March. And Hong Kong's education minister announced schools are set to resume in person on September 23. In Asia, India is fast becoming the world's new coronavirus epicenter, setting a record for the biggest single-day rise in cases, as experts predict it will soon pass Brazil and ultimately the US. And sadly, former Indian President Pranab Mukherjee, who had tested positive for COVID-19, died on Monday after weeks in hospital. New Delhi's Army Hospital said the 84-year Mukherjee had gone into a septic shock after coming down with a lung infection. That does it on the COVID-19 update. I am Uche Ugochukwu.
And still talking health, Director General of the National Environmental Standards Regulation and Enforcement Agency, Nigeria, Professor Aliyu Jauro, is engaging members of the media and other civil society organizations to embark on enlightenment campaigns against the indiscriminate disposal of COVID-19 waste. This is to reduce the level of transmission of the virus.
Find around. The challenge is that it is easy for transmission of the virus.
The agency has been working to ensure full compliance with the standard rules, regulations, and procedures laid down for proper handling of waste generated from COVID-19 activities. This is very crucial, as any laxity or disregard to the rules on the coronavirus waste management could pose great risks of environmental pollution.
Now, Adeola Komiakere in Lagos takes the next set of reports.
Thank you, Kenny. The huge investment committed to fertilizer production by the Dangote Group will contribute significantly to an improved farm yields and agricultural produce with a view to achieve Nigeria's long-term food security. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mohammed Sabo Nanono, stated this during a tour of the Dangote fertilizer plant at the Lekki Free Trade Zone in Ibeju-Lekki, Lagos. Imoliayo Tokede has details.
The federal government, in its bid to sustain Nigeria's economic growth, made available adequate financing for the development of the non-oil sector, particularly agriculture. The sector, with huge financial potential, faces several challenges, including accessibility to fertilizers needed by farmers for bumper harvests. The $2 billion Dangote granulated urea fertilizer plant will therefore aid the transformation of the sector towards boosting food security in the country.
I am particularly happy I can now go home and sleep that fertilizer will be able to Nigerian farmers in this country. Forget all those that merchants of fertilizer that have been confused in this country for the last 30, 40 years. We have got an answer now for somebody who will deal with them and make it straight to the farmers. We are only now going to complement his effort.
With all the completion of the central control room, ammonia and urea bulk storage, cooling tower, power generator plant and granulation, Dangote Fertilizer has also added a well-equipped fertilizer soil testing laboratory to ensure efficiency of the products for farmers.
We are doing a soil mapping across the country by testing. Then we are trying to make customized fertilizer. So we will analyze and identify the deficiencies and dope it with micronutrients so that the farmer can get the real benefits. You will not just go and put urea as a fertilizer but he'll put the right type of fertilizer which is required for his land and for his crop.
Dangote Fertilizer is positioned to bridge the gap between local demand and national capacity of urea, which will assist farmers in boosting their crop yields through easy access to fertilizers. In Lagos, Imole Ayotukide, NTA News.
31st of August annually is set aside to celebrate the African Traditional Medicine Day to affirm the continent's shared commitment to promoting rational traditional medicine practice. As part of this year's celebration, the Oni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Enito Ogunwusi, is advocating the use of African traditional medicines as alternative solution to health-related challenges, including COVID-19.
Since the outbreak of coronavirus pandemic, the world has been clamoring for vaccine and possibly a cure, with little or no attention to the use of traditional medicine. The advocacy of this conference highlights the importance of African herbs and roots. The Oni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Enito Ogunwusi, Ojaja II, is tinkering with the usage of traditional medicine as a solution to the pandemic, especially in the area of boosting the immune system. This it did with the launch of the Pan-African Foundation for Indigenous Medical Research and Development, PAFIMED.
Will go beyond bounds and coordinate the entire activities of various herbal solutions, continue to exert more research and development with various medical institutions. We believe we can do it. Our ancestors have done it before.
The foundation will also enable traditional medicine practitioners to collaborate with physicians on better ways of developing the non-conventional medicine.
I'm going to the extent of being made in formulations like capsules or liquid syrups, so that it can have attached to it dosages.
Other areas of consideration is for African traditional medicine practitioners to improve on measurement, dosage, prescription, and hygiene to make clinical processes easier. In Lagos, Imole Ayotukide, NTA News.
Well, we're done from this end. We will have more stories, but first, another breather.
Thank you for staying with us on Business News. Nigeria's manufacturing sector shows economic activities still in slow recovery. Moblang Dakok is in the studio with details. Hello, Moblang.
Hello, Kene. And it's good to have you join us on Business News. We begin with news that Nigeria's Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index, PMI, for the month of August 2020 declined to 48.5 index points, indicating contraction in the manufacturing sector for the fourth consecutive month. The PMI for the non-manufacturing sector stood at 44.7 points in August 2020, indicating contraction in non-manufacturing activities for the fifth consecutive month. Economic experts say contracting PMI suggests GDP growth for the third quarter 2020 will remain in the negative, except an improvement over the 6.1% decline is seen in the second quarter of the year. Now, the most recent report released by the National Bureau of Statistics shows that capital importation into Nigeria declined by minus 77.88% quarter on quarter in the second quarter of 2020. Professor Uche Uwaleke notes that the virus bug is what beat down hard on foreign capital inflows in the second quarter, and the downturn in global economic outlook has kept investors away. He spoke on NTA's flagship program, Business Express, today.
I see improvement. I see investors even doing more of these equities, investors doing more of bonds, because we didn't see any bond at all, investment in the second quarter of 2020, according to that report. Okay, and I also want to see going forward a situation where foreign direct investment is taking prominence, because that is what really develops.
And trading on the Nigerian stock market had a green start this Monday as the week started positive to close for the last trading day of August as investors gained 9.26 billion naira. The NSE All-Share Index advanced by 0.07% to close at 25,327.13 points, while market capitalization closed at 13.212 trillion naira. 302 million shares exchanged hands in 3,854 deals valued at 2.627 billion naira. UACN, Zenith Bank and UBA recorded the highest volume of traded shares. Mobil, Dangote Cement and WAPCO led the price gainers in terms of share value. And with that, we end business news this evening. Kene?
Thank you indeed.
All right.
Now, one of the indigenous construction companies, Dantata and Sawur, has taken the bull by the horn in complementing the federal government's efforts towards addressing technical skills development in the country. Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports that 70 candidates who were drawn from across the country are to undergo 6 months training to become economically relevant in the society.
Is part of ongoing efforts of the Industrial Training Fund, Nigerian Employers Consultative Association, and Dantata and Sawur aim at enhancing technical skills among Nigerian youth. This paradigm shift is coming on the heels to change the narrative of white-collar job to self-reliant initiative. The trainees will be equipped in different human endeavors to include electrical, mechanical, panel beating, spray painting, turning and welding.
Training is something that we have always done for our own staff. We have also always give space to various students in terms of IT. So it all came together that when NECA partnered with ITF, we became more or less excited and jumped at the opportunity to train this many number of Nigerians youth.
We encourage the trainee to be able to work hard so that they get these skills. When they get the skills, they can be on their own, they can be employed by this organization.
While the beneficiaries are happy to be part of the rare opportunity, stakeholders urge other companies to emulate the gesture of Dantata and Sawur.
If other company, not only construction company, other organizations can bring out such projects always, the lack of employment in this country will reduce.
We're so happy and excited because of this unemployment job, because we cannot wait for government to give us work to do. We have to be self-reliant.
It is expected that at the end of the 6 months training, the beneficiaries will receive start-up grants to enable them commence technical production in earnest. Mohammed Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
In an effort to ensure synergy and effective supervision of the federal government's digital transformation initiatives, President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the transfer of the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, to the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy. In a statement by spokesperson of the Minister of Communications, Owa Suleiman, the development is as a result of President Buhari's consideration for the critical role of National Identity Management Commission towards the realization of the objectives of the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy for the Digital Nigeria. It may be recalled that NIMC is mandated to curate, manage, maintain and operate the National Identity Database established by the NIMC Act 2007. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has corrected the impression that the House totally shut down its activities during its 6 weeks annual recess. The Speaker emphasized that the leadership of the House decided to suspend public and investigative hearings for the 3 weeks remaining of the annual recess to put in place more measures in view of the coronavirus pandemic. The Speaker disclosed that House oversight functions of government, ministries, departments and agencies are still ongoing. Let's take you to Port Harcourt, where Diba Barisia Domaweke is on.
And welcome to Port Harcourt. River State government is to flag off the rehabilitation, upgrade and extension of water supply system for Port Harcourt City and Obiakwa local government areas in October. Ogenyenku reports that the project will benefit more communities in the state. Rivers State is surrounded by water, but access to potable water is often a challenge. Residents are left to either source their water privately or buy from water vendors at exorbitant prices with little or no quality assurance. Port Harcourt, the state capital, has at best a dilapidated water infrastructure built by the colonial administrators with facilities that are now obsolete, a situation that has led to almost every household having a borehole. However, all of that will soon be addressed as the Rivers State government has signed the contract for the rehabilitation of water supply system for Port Harcourt City and Obiakpo local government areas.
Let me affirm my administration commitment that sustainable access to potable water across Rivers State is total, and nobody can distract us from this noble cause.
We shall recover the 11 existing boreholes and connect them in clusters of 5 and 6. 8 new boreholes will be drilled, which will be connected to a treatment plant for reliability, durability, and sustainability.
The project will be financed through the loan provision of the African Development Bank. In Port Harcourt, Oge Dinyekwere, NTA News. The drive for survival and search for greener pastures by some Nigerians has left in history with issues of illegal migration and its attendant hazardous effects. In a bid to escape harsh economic realities and seek alternative means to sources of livelihood, an active segment of the Nigerian population fall prey to human traffickers. Achibongbasi reports that this social menace in Cross River State is about to change for good.
Most of the victims of human trafficking leave home with expectations of getting better living conditions outside their countries with great economic prospects. For them, life can be rosy outside, but tales of woe greet them, and eventually life for them ends in the nets of slave merchants. Migration and human trafficking is a growing national challenge, and Cross River State is endemic for trafficking of children for domestic servitude.
There's a lot of water around Cross River State, and so the traffickers take advantage of that.
This development informed this gathering, where a task force team on human trafficking to prosecute offenders is inaugurated by the Cross River State government.
We really hope to work very closely with you to ensure that we reduce the incidence of illegal migration.
The Cross River State government has officially handed over this property, which is to serve as a Calabar office and shelter space for rescued victims, to the agency. In Calabar, Achibongbasi, NTA News.
And that does it from Port Harcourt. It's back to Kenneth for the rest of the news. Good evening.
Thank you, Dibabari. Now, do stay tuned as we bring you some messages.
With its devastating consequences, that is our focus on NTA Tuesday this week. Tuesday Live, every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. with relevant stakeholders. Join us.